Hi, I'm Tracey Malady. Welcome to my little urban workshop. I really enjoy making finials. I think they add a lovely decorative element to a lot of wood-turned pieces. They do present a few challenges, especially the longer and the finer they get. I won't show you all the finials that have snapped off at the very end, because the ones that the public will only ever see are the ones that get finished. Working with finials, you're working in small, tight spaces. Everything's small. So I've got myself a micro set of tools from Easy Wood Tools. They're a micro version of the larger finisher tool, rougher tool and detail tool. I have here a piece of rock maple, and your choice of wood is actually very important. You need a close grained wood when you're making finials. You don't want anything with an open grain that will split and tear on the edges. So maple or cherry are actually very good woods to use, or ebony, but we can't all get our hands on ebony all the time. Another tip when making finials is to take the jaws off your chuck and put on pin jaws. They'll give you a lot more stability when turning the piece, and you're going to be getting rid of a lot of the wood up here, so you'll need support, as much support as possible. The first thing I've done is to rough down the rock maple. I've done that using a traditional roughing gouge. I'm very used to using it, and I can get rid of a lot of material very quickly. Okay, so I've taken away a bit of timber at the tailstock end. You'll notice that I've also left a bit up here. That's because I want to keep as much wood as possible, again for stability. If you take away all that wood and you're trying to get a very fine piece, then it's going to cause too much vibration. So now I'm ready to make the tip of the finial. To do that, I'm going to use the Easy Wood tools. So I'm going to drop the tool rest so that the tool sits halfway on the piece of wood. Why am I using the Easy Wood tools? It's because they're small, they're micro. This is the micro set. They're going to get into places where my traditional gouges won't be able to fit. You'll notice when I do the tip of the finial, the detail gouge will come into play. The detail gouge and the angle on it, on the cutter, allows me to get a really sharp detail. The tailstock was in place when I took away the timber up this end of the finial, and the point got so small that eventually the supporting piece of timber will break away. That's perfect. Now we need to get the tailstock out of the way. We're not using that again. That was just in order to get the point on the finial. What I'm now going to do is finish shaping the bulb part of the finial, and I'll mark on the bit of wood where I think I'd like the bulb to go, and it will be somewhere around there. And then I'm going to shape this part of the finial, still keeping all of this part here, again for stability. What I'm trying to not happen is for the vibration to occur. That's when it becomes very difficult, and I'm trying to get it as fine as possible as well. love the way the finisher took really minute shavings off that finial then. However, I'm now at the point where the finisher isn't going to fit into where I want it to go. The detailer doesn't have a bevel, so I'm going to pick up my traditional detail gouge to work in this section, the underneath of the bulb, and then I'm going to go back to the micro tools. What I really love about this finisher on this tiny little bit of wood is that it took the smallest of shavings off. I didn't have to push into it. Too many finials have been lost by pushing on them at the wrong spot and they'll snap. Okay, so I've got the hardest part probably, the long slender part of the finial and the bulb and the tip. I'm going to sand that now. Once I sand it, you don't go back to it. You might have to sharpen up the edge of the tip after sanding to freshen up that edge, but apart from that, you shouldn't have to touch it at all. Finished shaping the bottom part of the finial, and I used the Easy Wood micro roughing tool to cut into where the tenon is. Now the tenon, it's important that you size the tenon for exactly where the finial is going into. So that's quite an important part of the job. I'm going to then revert to my traditional parting gouge just to part it off. And then it's better to leave more on the tenon than not enough. You can always sand a bit off later if you need to. Before I part it off, I will sand the bottom part of the finial that I've just made, and I'll probably start, because I've got such a good finish with the tools, I'll probably start at 220 and just go up to 400. So I've finished the finial now, I've parted it off. Now's probably a good time to say that I often don't part it off. If I'm not ready to utilise it straight away, I'll leave it attached to the piece in the chuck. I'll stain it while it's on the lathe. You can apply any sort of finish and then take it out, and it's still attached to the piece, but you can turn that off at any stage from here on. That's how I make my finials. Everyone has their own take on finials. I hope you've got something out of this today. I must admit I've enjoyed using the Easy Wood micro set of tools in my finial making. And if you would like any further information on them, please click on the link below.